A private intelligence firm has said that they suspect there was a state-sponsored Chinese hack attack recently on the power sector in the country. Now, this is as part of a suspected cyber espionage campaign. The report also highlights that the hackers focused on at least 7 load dispatch centers in northern India. Significantly, these centers were located near the Indo-China border in Ladakh. Now, these are also responsible for, in fact, carrying out real-time operations and grid control and electricity dispersal. This report has also highlighted this one fact, that this was aimed at information gathering around critical infrastructure. And the report also claims that the hackers compromised an Indian national emergency response system. In fact, National Affairs editor Maruf Raza now joins us live on the broadcast. Maruf, now this becomes very, very serious, because here we are looking at a malicious spyware which is associated to the Chinese PLA.
See, the Chinese PLA has been for years and years involved in cyber activity and cyber attacks. They have perhaps one of the best coordinated cyber attacking systems in the world, and these are targeted not just at India, but all countries, including the United States, that have activities that China considers a threat to its own agenda. In case of India, I know for a fact that even more than a decade ago, it was reported in the papers and it was confirmed by a former Home Secretary that we get thousands of Chinese attacks right across various platforms of the government. Now, there are 2-3 issues. One is, while the government and many of its connected agencies have pretty much firewalled themselves against Chinese attacks, the vulnerability of the private sector is much higher, because they don't invest that much in securing their networks and securing all the computer-related activities that their bodies are involved in. We saw an attack on Mumbai more than a year ago, which paralyzed parts of Mumbai with a drop in the electricity grid, and there was a complete blackout for some hours. This was said to be, by many experts, messaging from the Chinese that we can do more. The second thing is, India has a vast number of critical infrastructure bodies which are not entirely thoroughly protected. Now, these range from power stations to airlines and ATCs, and even sometimes some of our nuclear establishments. There is always the need to improve upon them. Apparently, what has been brought out by this observing agencies is that a hacking group dubbed TAG-38 has used a kind of malicious software, ShadowPad, which was previously associated with the PLA, that is the Chinese army, to attack the Ministry of State Security and various other bodies, and these have the blessings of the Chinese establishment. Please understand, nothing happens in China on its own or at the initiative of a handful of mavericks or trouble creators. These all have the approval of Beijing and the highest command centers there, and they constantly keep up pressure on countries. I remember many years ago, the US had announced that any serious attack on US national security interests by hackers would also be seen by America as an act of war. I think India should also make it known what are India's red lines, and these need not be only related to the government. Everything in India, whether the economy, the business centers, the banking, the airports, the power center, everything matters in India. You cannot draw lines to say the government will protect itself and the rest of you organize your own selves. There has to be a greater coordinated national response, and I think it's time that we do it. China could be doing us a favor by giving us messages that wake up. If we still are lethargic in their official response from the government, and which is normally the case in India, we will only have ourselves to blame and our government to blame.
Also, Maruf, this report also talks about the location of these centers, the fact that they are located along the Indo-China border in the Ladakh region. How bad is it looking as far as that particular aspect is concerned?
Now, we all know that you don't have to be based in Ladakh to carry out cyber attacks. You have to be based in Ladakh to deal with normal military activity and ground operations. Is it not that you can sit here in your office and communicate with anybody in the United States at a flash of a second? Today, internet allows you to do that. So I don't see why their being in Ladakh is any more dangerous than their being in Shanghai or Beijing.
Okay. Also, one last thing, Maru, before I let you go, the report also has claimed and underlined this one important aspect that the hackers, in fact, ended up compromising the Indian National Emergency Response System. Now, how significant is that?
Well, that is a usual point of their attempts to target. National Emergency Response System is linked with various bodies that the government has created, though slowly but steadily, in terms of disaster management and emergency responses. These are very widely spread, and these are, I'm sure, having a certain degree of backup of the information they have and their status of communication. One thing I have learned over the years, the safest method of communication in the event of hacking and cyber attacks is telephone landlines. The military uses it. It's about time we go back to using the landline and not be so dependent on our cell phones.
All right, Maruf, thank you so much. Strategic Affairs expert Maruf Raza there taking us through the suspected Chinese cyber campaign there that we have been reporting right here on the broadcast.